Absolutely shocking footage coming out of Afghanistan right now, as of course, World War Z is trending on Twitter. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski of We Are Change the Rug. A lot of very important news to get into. As of course, there's a crap ton of fake news, disinformation, propaganda, and psychological warfare out there that of course we're going to be breaking down with all the latest, most important news coming out of Afghanistan. Lots of major implications here, and of course we're going to be going over all of that plus a lot more. And I think it's fair to say that the situation in the world is very troubling and will only continue to get more troubling from here. As of course, border crossings are at a 21-year high, U.S. gas prices are up 40%, and inflation is the highest it's been in nearly 13 years. As of course now, the Taliban has fully taken over Afghanistan. We're going to be talking about that specific topic in just a little bit. But just going into some of the news that you might be missing now, it's also important to note that a very important court case is actually proceeding against British royalty, specifically against Prince Andrew, who is very close to the government-protected international trafficker and abuser of children, Jeffrey Epstein. One of his victims is suing Prince Andrew. This case has actually been scheduled, and we will be paying very close attention to it as it is set to take place on September 13th. And as the government obfuscates how it was a part of a larger operation using small children in horrible ways for extortion efforts, it's also pushing the divide and conquer agenda, as this weekend there were more violent clashes between Antifa and people protesting against government mandates and rules. Events that led to one person being stabbed in Los Angeles, and as people are pinned against each other, fighting one another over trivial differences, wholesale prices in the United States have rose 7.8%. Inflation is still continuing to rise as the banking ruling class literally created a situation where they profit off of the misery off of others. They also work closely with government, who in some parts of the world is announcing that they will soon be going door to door in order to carry out mandatory tests, as we've seen announced by the Premier of Victoria in Australia, a place where mothers are literally slapped with a $1,000 fine for talking to people at a park. Not to be outdone, our neighbor to the north, Canada, also is using the full might of the military police state in order to make sure an 83-year-old grandmother and her 11-year-old granddaughter can't go to a restaurant because they didn't jump through the government hoops that bureaucrats demanded them to. This larger takeover of free humanity is also coordinated with the mainstream media that is obsessively fear-mongering on the television about how you need to comply with the government or else face some severe ramifications, which they don't seem to be worried about themselves and their own personal lives. This after we have yet another very distressing DHS memo, which we're going to be talking about specifically on LukeUncensored.com. But using Afghanistan as an example, I think it's very fair to assume that things in our life could change very drastically. And sometimes one of the best things you could do in those situations is to go to the middle of the woods and learn to live off of the land. And if you're interested in that, we're actually teaching people how to do that with our apocalypse survival self-defense training drills that we are doing up here in New England. We just finished one this weekend. I had a lot of fun doing it, and after rave reviews, the people who participated asking for more events, we decided to do them this time, this upcoming Saturday, August 28th. We're doing a 30-plus-hour event where you will be literally building your own shelters, sleeping outside, be provided food, that you will learn how to prepare, how to cook, purifying water, starting a fire, building your bug-out bag, battle kits, whatever it may be. We only have 20 available spaces. Get them before they sell out. They are going to be moving very quickly. We did sell out from yesterday's event. Guarantee your spot right now and come have a lot of fun with us by going to learnfromluke.com. Additionally, I'm going to have a very important video later on today, by the way, on LukeUncensored.com. Lots of crazy stuff happening that, of course, we can't talk about on this platform, but we will be discussing all exclusively on LukeUncensored.com. Don't forget to check out for the video later on today. Now, just jumping into our main topic, we got this official communication from the White House Twitter's account, which has left a lot of people wondering, what in the world were you thinking? And that's the kind of sentiment that people are left with, not just by looking at that picture, but by now fully understanding the true ramifications of what happens when you give too much power to a few amount of unaccountable bureaucrats that are in the pockets of the U.S. military-industrial complex. Again, this photo is a perfect representation of the criminally incompetent government. The response to this picture of Biden being briefed on the situation in Afghanistan was characterized by whistleblower Edward Snowden as, quote, a brutal image. Other people have labeled it by saying, quote, an empty room, a man without a plan, and a world on fire. This is the weakest photo of an American president I ever seen. American decay. Now, we're going to get into this larger concept of American decay in just a little bit, but we have to understand, as this is happening, that was one of the few communications from the Biden administration about this utterly disastrous situation that's unfolding right now. They also announced that in a few days, not now, but literally in a few days, that Biden will be addressing the nation about this issue. U.S. Press Secretary Jen Psaki also has decided to take the week off, as everyone is asking, where's Joe? Where's Psaki? As, of course, the Biden administration is somehow trying to blame Donald Trump for this absolute mess of a situation that the world is in right now. And we have to understand that this is coming from an administration that was boasting and bragging how it was their choice and their plan to take troops out of Afghanistan. There's rumors that Kamala Harris's office was leaking information that she was key to this entire process, which could explain the way it's unfolding right now. And we have to understand here that this pullout was long overdue. It's only as bad as it is because of the long amount and duration that the United States was in that country, basically using it as a money laundering and drug trafficking operation that didn't work to anyone's benefit except for the intelligence agencies and the military-industrial complex that was able to rake in trillions of dollars. Not even billions. We're talking about trillions here. And even though the United States was long overdue to leave, we also have to understand that this leaving was executed absolutely horribly, and it highlights the utter incompetencies and the mess the United States government has created. And what did you think was going to happen? This is a video of the Afghani forces that the United States was supposedly training, highlighting how these guys can't even do simple jumping jacks. And these guys were left on their own with the latest and greatest U.S. military hardware paid for by your U.S. tax dollars, which they literally just handed over to the Taliban. The plan was to literally leave everything in the hands of these guys that you're watching right now that can't even do jumping jacks. Some of these people, also a part of the Afghanistan security forces, were absolutely corrupted. Some of them were criminals. Some of them did unspeakable things akin to Mr. Epstein, and the U.S. government chose to look the other way, protected them, aided them, and gave them your money. And a lot of money. The current president of Afghanistan was literally fleeing the countries in 4 cars and a helicopter that were filled with cash. He has since left the country, fled for his safety, as of course the Taliban have taken over the government and are going to be implementing Sharia law. What happened here is very eerily similar to Vietnam, even though the mainstream media and Biden administration were telling you that it's not. It is. The United States spent 18 years in Vietnam, $1 trillion, the lives of 200,000 American lives. There was global condemnation, and as a result of it, China and Russia were strengthened afterwards. And now, with Afghanistan, 20 years of a conflict, $2.4 trillion, 22,366 Americans' lives lost, global condemnation, and China and Russia are strengthened after this event, as those two countries are also waiting to formally accept the Taliban as the legitimate rulers of Afghanistan, and of course they will be bolstening their relationship with them. Chinese government state-run propaganda news organizations also released a statement saying that, quote, what happened in Afghanistan is what could happen in Taiwan, and that, quote, U.S. military won't come to help, referring, of course, to the helpless Afghani people who are literally trying to cling on to aircraft in order to flee Afghanistan right now. And geopolitically, this is a big black eye for the United States, for its foreign policy initiatives, for its hegemony. And why was this caused? Well, this was all based on a lie, and of course with cheers and celebration from the government, the mainstream media, and even Saturday Night Live that after the 1-month invasion of Afghanistan by the United States, literally were doing a song and dance routine celebrating it. Jimmy Fallon, of course, was there too, talking about how great the liberation of Afghanistan will be. And while this international corruption, trafficking, abuse ring was being facilitated by your tax dollars for absolutely no purpose at all, hurting people eventually, where was the mainstream media? Well, most of them were looking the other way. Some of them are finally raising their voices now. Some of them are trying to use this opportunity to start more wars, more conflicts. As of course, we just continue to get absolutely horrible videos from Afghanistan showing the desperation of many people, with even new reports coming in that there was shots fired at the airport. A lot of people are just trying to get on any kind of plane that they can, and this is a Saigon moment. Let's be honest here. That is only going to make the situation that much worse for everyone, including especially the people of Afghanistan and the people of the United States, especially with the borders being open, and men who were kidnapped and tortured by the U.S. government, violating the Geneva Conventions, violating human rights protocols, are now at the helm of a new, emboldened government force that has the latest and greatest U.S. military hardware. Literally, one of the commanders of the Taliban that is set to hold a powerful position in the new upcoming government was previously a detainee at Guantanamo Bay. And we also have to acknowledge that this wasn't the only time that the United States, in one way or another, directly financed the Taliban, gave them arms and weapons. And because of all of this, a lot of people were pointing to the possibility of more potential attacks on American soil, as of course Joe Biden and his administration are pushing for more policies in order to disarm you and leave you defenseless. As of course, this administration has previously said that no American needs an AR-15, as of course, they just gave the Taliban a large number of AR-15s and a lot of other military hardware that was paid for by your tax dollars. All of that siphoned off, given to the super rich, the establishment, special interest groups that of course represent the military-industrial complex that should be giving everyone an absolute refund. They should face criminal charges here. They should face the consequences of their actions. And that's something that of course we're not hearing about at all. But we should be. 20 years, trillions of dollars, countless numbers of lives lost, only to lose Afghanistan in 4 days. American foreign policy in that country only emboldened the Taliban, only made them more powerful, and that's why they were able to just walk in to the capital of that country and take it over. Unless we deal with American foreign policy, unless there's consequences for the blunders that, in my opinion, weren't even actual blunders. A lot of this was done deliberately to push the order out of chaos doctrine. I'm going to be talking about that plus a lot more all on LukeUncensored.com. I already said too much. LukeUncensored.com. Wait for a video later on today. I still got a lot more to say. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. This is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for a lot more. Share this video. Critically important. Here on wearechange.org. Stay tuned for more.